Chapter 70. Annabeth. Destroy them. Annabeth had heard those words often enough that they shocked her out of her paralysis. She raised her sword and yelled, "Percy!" He snatched up Riptide. Annabeth dove for the chains holding the doors of death. Her drakenbone blade cut through the left side moorings in a single swipe. Meanwhile, Percy drove back the first wave of monsters. He stabbed an Arai and yelped, "Gah! Stupid curses!" Then he scythed down half a dozen Telkanes. Annabeth lunged behind him and sliced through the chains on the other side. The door shuddered, then opened with a pleasant ding! Bob and his saber-toothed sidekick continued to weave around Tartarus's legs, attacking and dodging to stay out of his clutches. They didn't seem to be doing much damage, but Tartarus lurched around, obviously not used to fighting in a humanoid body. He swiped and missed. More monsters surged toward the doors. A spear flew past Annabeth's head. She turned and stabbed Nimpusa through the gut, then dove for the doors as they started to close. She kept them open with her foot as she fought. At least with her back to the elevator car, she didn't have to worry about attacks from behind. "Percy, get over here!" she yelled. He joined her in the doorway, his face dripping with sweat and blood from several cuts. "You okay?" she asked. He nodded. "Got some kind of pain curse from the Arai." He hacked a griffin out of the air. "It hurts, but it won't kill me. Get in the elevator, I'll hold the button." "Yeah, right!" She smacked a carnivorous horse in the snout with the butt of her sword and sent the monster stampeding through the crowd. "You promised, Seaweed Brain. We would not get separated, ever again." "You're impossible." "Yeah, love you too." An entire phalanx of Cyclopes charged forward, knocking smaller monsters out of the way. Annabeth figured she was about to die. "It had to be Cyclopes," she grumbled. Percy gave a battle cry. At the Cyclopes' feet, a red vein in the ground burst open, spraying the monsters with liquid fire from the phlegathon. The firewater might have healed mortals, but it didn't do the Cyclopes any favors. They combusted in a tidal wave of heat. The burst vein sealed itself, but nothing remained of the monsters except a row of scorch marks. "Annabeth, you have to go," Percy said. "We can't both stay." "No!" she cried. "Duck!" He didn't ask why. He crouched and Annabeth vaulted over him, bringing her sword down on the head of a heavily tattooed ogre. Percy and she stood shoulder to shoulder in the doorway, waiting for the next wave. The exploding vein had given the monsters pause, but it wouldn't be long before they remembered. "Hey, wait, there's 75 gazillion of us, and only 2 of them." "Well then," Percy said. "You have a better idea?" Annabeth wished she did. The doors of death stood right behind them, their exit from this nightmarish world. But they couldn't use the doors without someone manning the controls for 12 long minutes. If they stepped inside and let the doors close without someone holding the button, Annabeth didn't think the results would be healthy. And if they stepped away from the doors for any reason, she imagined the elevator would close and disappear without them. The situation was so pathetically sad it was almost funny. The crowd of monsters inched forward, snarling and gathering their courage. Meanwhile, Bob's attacks were getting slower. Tartarus was learning to control his new body. Saber-toothed small Bob lunged at the god, but Tartarus smacked the cat sideways. Bob charged, bellowing with rage, but Tartarus grabbed his spear and yanked it out of his hands. He kicked Bob downhill, knocking over a row of Telkanes like sea mammal bowling pins. "Yield!" Tartarus thundered. "I will not!" Bob said. "You are not my master!" "Die in defiance, then," said the god of the pit. "You titans are nothing to me. My children, the giants, were always better, stronger, and more vicious. They will make the upper world as dark as my realm." Tartarus snapped the spear in half. Bob wailed in agony. Saber-toothed small Bob leapt to his aid, snarling at Tartarus and baring his fangs. The titan struggled to rise, but Annabeth knew it was over. Even the monsters turned to watch, as if sensing that their master Tartarus was about to take the spotlight. The death of a titan was worth seeing. Percy gripped Annabeth's hand. "Stay here, I've got to help him." "Percy, you can't," she croaked. "Tartarus can't be fought. Not by us." She knew she was right. Tartarus was in a class by himself. He was more powerful than the gods or titans. Demigods were nothing to him. If Percy charged to help Bob, he would get swashed like an ant. But Annabeth also knew that Percy wouldn't listen. He couldn't leave Bob to die alone. It just wasn't him, and that was one of the many reasons she loved him. Even if he was an Olympian-sized pain in the podex. "We'll go together," Annabeth decided, knowing this would be their final battle. If they stepped away from the doors, they would never leave Tartarus. At least they would die fighting side by side. She was about to say, "Now." A ripple of alarm passed through the army. In the distance, Annabeth heard shrieks, screams, and a persistent boom, boom, boom that was too fast to be the heartbeat in the ground, more like something large and heavy running at full speed. An Earthborn spun into the air as if he'd been tossed. A plume of bright green gas billowed across the top of the monster's horde like the spray from a poison riot hose. Everything in its path dissolved. Across the swath of sizzling, newly empty ground, Annabeth saw the cause of the commotion. She started to grin. The Myonian Draken spread its frilled collar and hissed, its poison breath filling the battlefield with the smell of pine and ginger. It shifted its 100-foot-long body, flicking its dappled green tail and wiping out a battalion of ogres. Riding on its back was a red-skinned giant with flowers in his rust-colored braids, a jerkin of green leather, and a draken-ribbed lance in his hand. Damison! Annabeth cried. The giant inclined his head.
Annabeth Chase, I took your advice. I chose myself a new fate.